Sick and Wrong, America's #1 source for antisocial commentary. Brought to you by the Reach Around Foundation.
Welcome to Sick and Wrong. This is Sick and Wrong podcast number 1, the first in a series of 392. I think that's what was ordered by the Reach Around Foundation.
Once we have 392, we're done forever.
We're done forever, but we owe the Reach Around Foundation 392.
But this is one.
Yeah, this is number 1. My name is Dave Simon, and
I'm Lance Wackerly.
As Lance Wackerly, the co-host, and we are presenting to you Sick and Wrong. And let me just explain a little bit about the show here, Lance. Sick and Wrong is America's #1 source for antisocial commentary. It is the brainchild of myself and Lance. But the way the show works, it's not just, sole commentary. Sick and Wrong is a competition. And then, let me just give you a little detail here. So this is how it works. Me and Lance are pitted against each other in a competition. Although we are friends, we're going to be foes during the show. And how it works is we're going to be competing for a case of beer. And how we're competing, the competition, the nature of the competition, is I find 3 of the most disgusting, disturbing, disquieting, repulsive, unsettling news items that I can that week, and Lance does the same, and then we both try to best each other as to who has the most disgusting news item.
I think we're already in trouble with our professionalism because I only brought 2 articles this week.
God damn you fucking bastard. Actually, I think it'll work. It'll work.
It will work this week. We'll get it together.
I don't even know if we're
maybe show
be able
2
to
or
get
3.
So
yeah.
we'll just see how long we can do it in a half hour, because we only owe the Reach Around Foundation a half an hour a week.
I think Reach Around is going to understand that this is show 1, and we're still working the bugs out.
Exactly. Like the show changes, it evolves in time. But the way it works here is I present my article, Lance presents his article, and then we decide who has the most disgusting, repulsive, whatever article of that week, and you win a case of beer. The loser has to buy the winner a case of beer.
Right, it's a rolling contest.
Did we already determine what type of beer? It's MGD?
Yeah, what else would it be?
It's got to be MGD. Has to be MGD. But anyways, that's the way it works, and that's how the game goes. But before we get into the game, I would like to announce that we do have a website, sort of, that's starting. It's actually hosted on Lance's website. Lance is a famous artist, an artiste. You're a comic artiste.
Yeah, you could say that. I have a website anyway.
Yeah, www.blaringfoghorn.com. And since it's published online, that means you're an artist.
Right.
More or less.
Well, once I get the Reach Around Foundation to start funding that, then I'll feel more legitimate.
Yes, exactly. Because once you actually start getting money for your art, that makes you a real artist. But anyways, you can go to blaringfoghorn.com, and we're soon going to have a link that's going to direct you right to the Sick and Wrong website, which will be, I guess, the server for all our podcasts. You can download all 392 of the podcasts from that website.
Right.
It's going to be,
at some point, we'll have it up on Apple's website too, like all little good podcasters,
iTunes, yeah,
right?
Eventually, yeah. I think that's the goal.
We'll bow down to the god of the iPod.
The podcast, the podcast god. So it's going to be here's our URL: sickandwrong.blaringfoghorn.com. And don't be a dumbass and put www in it, because it's just not going to work. You're not going to get anywhere. Maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, everybody's going to do that anyways, but sooner or later we'll drill it into people's head that you don't put www. Just put sickandwrong.blaringfoghorn.com.
And then you can also email us, and as well you should, and send us some shit or something. sickandwrongpodcast@hotmail.com.
Okay.
Anyways,
these preliminaries are boring.
Yeah,
so let's get to the meat of the show.
Let's get to the meat of the show here. First, I just want to wish you a Happy New Year, because I haven't seen you in a while, and this is podcast number 1, so Happy New Year.
Are you wishing me a New Year or the listeners?
Well,
or both?
I'm wishing you a New Year, but I'm also wishing
thank you.
Listeners, I think all 3 of our listeners out there, Happy New Year.
Is your dad going to listen or something?
I wonder. I don't know. I told him about it. I think he'd probably...
I'm just trying to count up the 3.
I think the rabbi would be into it. I don't know. Maybe. But anyways, real quick before we get into the show, I just wanted to bring up this one instance that's happening, and this totally fits within the Sick and Wrong format. This just happened the other day. I was talking to my sister, who got a call from Rick. And let me just give you a little background. Rick is my brother's ex-boyfriend. And
quite estranged.
Quite estranged,
well.
Yes. Yeah.
They don't really like
my
each
brother
other
and
anymore.
Rick hate each other. They despise each other, so they don't speak anymore. And anyways, Rick is an asshole. I mean, he just really is just an asshole.
Well, yeah, I mean, case in point, so Rick hates your brother, but he isn't above still being friends with your sister, which is kind of an asshole thing to do.
With me too, yeah.
Right.
I mean, the guy's not that bad, whatever. I know a lot of assholes, but he is an asshole. And if anyone should have something like this happen to them, this guy's like the prime candidate, the most prime. It's poetic justice at its most finest.
I can think of a good probably 10 or 12 people who would do this to him.
That would do this. But anyways, let me tell you what happened. So Rick calls up my sister. This just happened yesterday. Frantically, he calls her up. He's panicking on the phone. He's crying. He's completely upset. And Stephanie's just like, what, did they cancel Sex in the City, or did they take your DVDs away or something?
Yeah, he's a real gay is gay.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what, AbFab is, your AbFab collection is lost? I don't know. But anyways, he's freaking out on the phone. And so he tells a story that, I guess, this just happened last night, mind you. He ran into a friend of his. He lives over in the Tenderloin district of San Francisco, and he ran into a buddy of his over at the laundromat. And this is a guy that they've hung out with in the past. I don't think there's a homo-gay relationship going on here.
They did meet at the laundromat, though. That's a little weird.
Is that like a gay meeting spot?
I don't know, but I wouldn't meet anybody at the laundromat.
Yeah, it definitely. That does sound a little suspect. But anyways, he meets him at the laundromat, and they're talking. He's like, "Hey, you want to come up to my place and smoke a bowl?" Which sounds like kind of like a gay come on, doesn't it? To come over and smoke a bowl.
I would assume that would work. I think a lot of stuff works between gay guys, that they kind of just make many excuse.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it ends up happening.
But anyways, he invites him over to his room. They're smoking weed. The guy's like, "Excuse me, I got to go to the bathroom." And he's in the bathroom for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. What the hell could you be doing in there for 20 minutes? And not to mention, so obviously he's taking a shit. And it's like, okay, so you go over to somebody's house, and you're like, "Excuse me, it's just you and him. He lives in the studio." You're like, "I'm going to go take a shit." Do you ever take a shit at your friend's house?
Yeah, but I mean, that's like there's a threshold of friendship before you can do that. It's got to be a good friend, and then you joke around.
What if your friend's a girl? Would you take a shit at your friend girl's studio?
Man. Probably not.
See, neither would I. I don't know. Maybe it's
so you're saying because they're gay, it's like Rick is a girl, or
kind of.
Okay.
That's what I'm kind of. Well, maybe maybe not. I'm just saying if I had an acquaintance.
But gay dudes are also very comfortable with each other's assholes, so maybe that's something.
Yes, maybe it's just something that's accepted in the community.
We could probably talk about just this for a half hour, but you probably get on with the story.
Okay, let me get on here and email us if you know the protocol behind taking shits at people's houses. Sick and Wrong Podcast, hotmail.com. But anyway,
we'll
so
continue
the guy's in there,
another show to discuss it.
The guy's in there for 20 minutes taking the shit. Finally comes out. Rick's like, "Okay, it's a little weird, whatever." They end up leaving. Rick comes home later that night, goes to take a leak, opens up the toilet, and there's a log just sitting. The guy didn't flush. Not only did he take a shit in his house, he didn't flush.
That's nasty.
Which is just nasty. I mean, that's just like, seriously, insult to injury.
Have you ever like taken a crap before you go to work, and then you come and you flush it, but then you come home from work and you like see that your crap is still in there because it like didn't flush right,
and it came back out the hole, like it came back.
Right,
yeah.
And you're disgusted with yourself and your toilet. You're kind of just pissed off, like to look at your like day old log that's been sitting there.
I always wonder,
day.
like, did it get rejected? I mean, did the toilet just be like, "No, dude, I'm not going to swallow this. Take that shit back."
That'd be kind of a good horror story, like the poop that wouldn't flush or something.
Poop that wouldn't flush, like the floater. But anyways, so Rick's like, totally disgusted at this point. Flushes the toilet. It's like, God, I don't think I'm going to hang out with this guy anymore. Anyways, the next day, he comes home, and I just found this out today.
That's not the end of the story.
Yeah, this is the end of the story. Right now, I'm kind of getting to the end.
Oh.
He comes home, and he walks into his apartment. The whole place smells like feces. The entire apartment, the entire studio just smells like shit.
And he's like a fastidious gay guy, right?
My God.
Scented candles and everything.
Candles everywhere. And the scented candles were powerless against this feces smell, this odor. So anyways, he goes to the toilet. There's nothing in the toilet. He's like, what's going on?
But is the smell more concentrated near the toilet?
It's coming out of the bathroom.
But he can't find it.
And I don't know where he came up with this idea, but he lifts up the tank, the top of the tank behind the toilet, and there's just mounds of shit in there. So this dude was upper decked. I don't know how many people know the term, but upper decking is like the ultimate revenge.
I love this
the penultimate revenge.
But I love this story because Well, and I guess it doesn't really apply to anybody who's listening, but I always thought that upper decking was an urban myth. I thought it was one of those things
like
that
a donkey show. Like an
yeah,
urban myth.
or what, you know, all the angry dragon, all those bizarre sexual maneuvers that, like, you know, 13-year-old boys think up. But I didn't think anybody ever actually got upper decked, and to know that it happened to Rick, who, like I said before, is the person who probably deserves it. It's just great. It justifies something disgusting that I sort of had never hoped in my wildest dreams could actually be true. And, you know, it happened to Rick. It's just, I love that story.
It's just amazing. And, I mean, how do you, it's like such an ultimate act of revenge. It's like, how do you get the shit out of the tank?
I do not know.
I do not know. I've never done this before. Although I might do it to Rick, though, next time I go over there.
We should just keep doing it to Rick.
Just,
like somebody go in there every week and just be like, can I use your bathroom, man?
I think he would go insane. I don't know.
It would be
he'd probably never use a toilet again. Like shit in a hole in the ground.
Or just hold it in.
Or someone's mouth.
Just hold it in. Until somebody pushed it out for him.
But anyways, yeah, so he was freaked out, calls up my sister, and get this. I'm going to end this story right now because we got to move on with the show. But he calls my sister, and he tells her while he's crying that he filed a police report against the guy. A police report.
Can we get a copy of that?
I would love to see a copy of that. I mean, so in Rick's mind and his drug-addled, you know, homosexual rage, Rick's like, yeah, they're going to arrest him for shitting in my tank. Like, what does he think? That's vandalism or something?
I just want to see the description of the problem. Poo floating in, what do you even call that? It's just called the tank, the toilet tank?
I guess. Yeah. The upper deck?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, people out there, it's the ultimate revenge. And if you do know somebody, upper deck somebody. Actually, you know, we should almost make that a segment of the show, the upper decking story. So you can email us your own upper decking stories.
Right.
I think
or if you're one of the people that we encourage to get, and you got upper decked because we put the idea in somebody's head, you could call us too. And bitch.
Which leads right into my number one story here. This is like a perfect segue into it. Okay, let's start the show.
So this is it. This is the beginning of the battle,
huh? The beginning of the battle.
I feel like we need like a ring bell or something.
Maybe, I thought you were going to have like that air horn or whatever that was.
I say I'm going to do a lot of things, and I'm just kind of lazy. But someday.
Yeah, we're going to have sound effects eventually.
Bells and whistles.
But keep in mind, this is podcast number 1 of 392. By the time we get to 390, we're going to be just on it. Could you imagine?
Right.
Sound effects everywhere.
We won't even be trying anymore.
We could even have
it'll be all sound effects.
We could even have a sound of someone upper decking, like the upper decking sound. And I don't even know if I want to hear that. Anyways, okay, here's my number one story, which I personally think is the most disgusting story of the week here. And Lance might try to refute this, but this is the most foul thing I've read all week. So get this, in Frankfort, Kentucky, 2 nursing assistants were recently indicted for making elderly patients shit themselves. So in Frankfort, Kentucky, Attorney General Greg Stumbo, great name, announced Tuesday the indictment of 2 nursing assistants for multiple counts of abuse after it was discovered that they allegedly gave elderly and medically fragile patients laxatives as a prank in order to harass staff that worked the shifts after them. So this is like their revenge. It's
that's pretty wrong.
I mean, isn't it just ruthless? It's just so wrong. It's just, you know.
Because I just thank God that there are people who would do that job, because I would never do it. I mean, I hate to say it, but I'd be the person who would just like leave the old people in a ditch and run away because I don't want to clean up old person poo.
Well, you know, it's funny. I think of our friend Vinny. We have a mutual friend Vinny who does hospice care. He's not a nursing assistant. He's like the manager of the nurses. But he's telling me, you know, oftentimes he has to show people how to remove like a bowel obstruction, where he actually has to put on a glove, stick his finger up an old person's ass, and remove out a little nugget of shit so the rest of it can flow out.
You know what, man? That's one of those things that people will listen to this podcast and they think you just made it up. So we might as well not even talk about it.
I mean, yeah, it's so unbelievable.
But
so
I will verify Dave's story.
No, this does happen. So anyways, the incidents allegedly occurred. Now, this is in Kentucky at the Irvine Health and Rehabilitation Center in Irvine, Kentucky. Lisa Kilborn, now keep in mind of the ages here, 27, and Kim Congleton, 30. Both certified nursing assistants were employed at the nursing home when the abuse occurred, and now their employment has since been terminated.
2 girls,
and they're 27 and 30.
I thought immediately when you said what happened, I thought of 2 dudes.
Doesn't it sound like it should be 2 guys?
Yeah, it should,
guys would be sick enough.
Just another
sick fucks
wrong
that would do
aspect of
like
the story. All right.
But no, these are two women. These are women, and they're like adults. They're 27, 30. You know, I mean, they're not like 18 years old. You know, this is like their career.
Damn.
And so, anyways, while working as caretakers at the facility, they abuse the elderly and medically fragile residents by administering laxative suppositories. So, which makes the story even worse, if you think about it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
This wasn't an oral laxative like a pill. These
You're
are
right.
suppositories. So they're shoving suppositories up the old people's ass to make them shit it back out.
But didn't you say? Doesn't the article say they like gave them a larger than normal amount?
Yeah, I mean.
So what do you put in like 3?
I don't know. Who
Or
knows
just
what they're doing?
sequentially you watch?
I just keep going back and putting in another one. But I mean, these
You might get some blowback.
But these
if you were doing that.
blowback. These laxatives, though, were not medically necessary and had not been ordered as a part of the resident's treatment, which is kind of scary. The acts were apparently done to harass the next shift nursing assistants and to get revenge on them for, I imagine, something that they must have done that was probably equally as vile.
Yeah, that's a good.
I mean, to call for this type of revenge.
If I was the investigator or whatever, I would definitely look into that
and find out
what happened
were they
before.
doing. Yeah, what were they making them vomit and piss themselves or
I don't
something,
know.
or
something bad?
I don't know. It's just it would in my mind. I could see these two chicks are just like, you know what? We really got to get them. They're a bunch of assholes. We should make all 60 of our patients shit themselves collectively at once, and they got to clean it.
But I
every
like
time.
stories like this too because you know that this took planning. First of all, there are 2 of them. And it's kind of like it's a scheme. There's like, are we going to give them X-Lax? Oh, we'll give them the suppositories. Who
decided the suppository?
But they sat down for, a couple hours at least and planned this out.
And they did. So I guess some of the patients suffered pain and rectal bleeding as a result of the nursing assistant's actions. I would be really pissed if I went to see Grandma and there's a bunch of blood coming out of her ass. Bloody stool. It's just nasty. Anyways, the staff assisted in the investigation, and according to Greg Stumbo, who is the Attorney General who's prosecuting this case, he said these defendants treated the residents of the Irvine Health and Rehab facility as nothing more than objects for their own amusement as a means to play pranks on fellow staff members. This conduct is criminal and will be punished, and they face up to 5 years in prison for each count. And, dude, I mean, they have like 60 counts.
Each suppository or each patient?
I think it's each patient. But I mean, it's just what I keep thinking about in my own mind here. So let's say they do get 5 years in prison. Someone's gonna be like, "What are you in for?" It's like making old people shit themselves.
I would just lie if it was me.
Or
I'd
just
say something
murder.
else. Yeah.
I wonder if there's some kind of tattoo in prison for that. Like I made Grandma shit herself.
Just a little brown star on your face or something.
A little brown mark or something. So, anyways, all in all, I think this is the most disgusting article I read all week, and on the sick and wrong scale, being this news item being both sick, because it is sick, I mean, it involves shit, a lot of shit, and suppositories, and wrong because this is something you should never do to someone else. I mean, think about this. These old people are in a nursing facility, whiling out their last days. Their translucent skin, you can see like the blood veins, the veins popping, barely able to keep these people alive. And what little dignity that they have was just ruined by these 2 girls making them shit all over the place to fuck with their friends that are coming in.
Dude, if you
for the
make me
night shift.
puke, does that give you an automatic win?
I think that's air horn material right there. That'd be like, "Boo, I win." But anyways, I give it on the sick and wrong scale. 1 being not so sick, not so wrong, to 10 being just completely sick and wrong. I give this a 9. I give it a 9. And Lance, what do you think?
That's pretty bad.
Do you agree?
But I'm reluctant to give you, anything higher than a 5 when I haven't read my story yet. And I also don't know, this is show 1. Like
this is show 1. But
you came out of the gate
just for this show.
You came out of the gate really strong.
This is my haymaker right here. I was going to do something a little weaker, but it kind of goes right in with the upper decking, because the upper decking is an act of revenge, and this is obviously an act of revenge, a prank, for someone else. So I'm just saying it's pretty fucking sick, dude. That's sick.
I'm still reluctant to give it a 9. I'm going to say, because, there's a lot of sick stuff out there. That's pretty sick. Like I said, your description of the old people almost made me vomit. I'm going to give it
skin.
a 7
Give
and
it
a
7,
half.
which is pretty high. A 7.5 is pretty high in the sick and wrong scale.
But I reserve my final scoring,
we can
till
discuss
the end.
it at the very end.
And sooner or later, I don't think we should be scoring these at all. We should rely on people emailing in their
Sick
votes.
and Wrong Podcast.
Or we could even put
hotmail.com.
something on the website where you just click in, click your vote.
definitely. So I came in with some pretty big scores. And, I mean, one thing I just want to add here, just one amendment real quick, is that these people were serious. They weren't using pills here. They were using suppositories. They were seriously going to make these people shit, whether they wanted to or not.
Well, you add.
And think of old people shit, dude. That's like, I mean, it looks just like what went in. It's probably like little green peas and corn.
I really try not to think about it. But,
God,
I mean, you asked
awful.
the question, though, like, who would do this sort of thing? Even if I worked there and I was, my boss told me to put one suppository in the old person, I probably would just say no and quit.
And quit. What I don't understand is, like, so the nursing assistants that were getting the prank played on them that came in for the night shift, wouldn't you be like, fuck this. I'm not cleaning up 60-year-old people.
I might quit for that, too.
I think I would walk out.
This
I would just be like, you know what, I'm out of here.
I mean, the implication is
Going
that these nursing assistants have a lot of like private time with the patients.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, they must work all night. Maybe they work the night shift, and the shift that they were getting revenge was the day shift.
That could be.
But that's even worse because, I mean, they probably couldn't possibly clean up all these people. If you're going to go see grandma, you're in for a surprise.
These old people must have just not even been able to know what was going on, or they knew and they just didn't have it.
Medically fragile.
Right.
God, I mean, dude, they probably don't even have control there. Let's just move on to the next story.
I can't think about this one anymore. Maybe we can recap it at the end, or I don't know.
What do you have?
My story is not.
Bring it.
My story is not really sick. It's more on the wrong end of the seesaw, and I think people might have heard this story. I know it's been making
a popular.
It's not item? Super popular, but it's been making the rounds of some of the talk radio stations, and nobody's really. Right, yeah, those guys. Exactly. But nobody really, they kind of just mentioned it and didn't, like, discuss the implications, the sick and wrong implications, or, like I said, in this case, just wrong implications.
The sick and wrong commentary, that's what we're here for.
That's what I think we're here for, is to really delve into the details, beat the dead horse till, we're done with it.
Yes.
So, this story, I don't know how many football fans are out there, but this is a story about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers football team down in Florida playing the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans has been going through a really bad year.
A troubled time here there.
Katrina and the hurricane and everything.
Did they even play a full season?
I never heard otherwise. I mean, it takes a lot to stop football.
Yeah. I think it takes more than just a catastrophe.
I don't want to go off
Katrina.
on a tangent, but don't you remember 9/11? Didn't they stop football? And, like, there was a big outrage.
Yeah, I remember that. Everyone was all pissed off.
For 2 weeks, there was, like, no Sunday or Monday games, and people were kind of pissed about it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see, like, Johnny Punch Clock, Jimmy Brown Shoes is probably just really pissed. Like in the Midwest.
Sixpack.
Yeah, Joe Sixpack.
Him too. He was mad.
Was just like, what's going on? I know the terrorists are coming to get us, but no football?
Anyways, so like I said, most people probably know this story, but I'm going to recap it anyways. So they're playing in Tampa, New Orleans Saints versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's a game, whatever. I don't even know what the score was, but it was halftime. The cheerleaders come out to do their halftime show. First song out of the gate, a band that I've loathed for a long time, the Scorpions, Rock Me Like a Hurricane.
Oh my God, dude. What? So wait, they did their halftime performance knowing they're playing the Saints, and they danced to Rock Me Like a Hurricane.
Right. And I will give them the fact they weren't in New Orleans, so maybe it slipped their mind. It was only on the news like 24/7.
But they're playing the Saints. I mean, the New Orleans Saints.
And if you've ever heard the song, it starts out and it's you can't miss it. The first couple of chords, you're like, oh my God, this is Rock Me Like a Hurricane. It's not like the song right. It's not like the song started and, people didn't know and then they heard the words and then they thought it was kind of weird. I think everybody heard it immediately. Excuse me.
It's like getting smacked over the face with it. I mean, this is just so blunt.
Right. So I have a couple quotes from the article that I got. I'm sure there were lots of articles, but they're interviewing a Buccaneers fan, which is kind of funny that they interviewed the Buccaneers fan, not a New Orleans fan. But the Buccaneers fan's talking about how weird it was, and he says, the first song that I hear is Rock You Like a Hurricane by the Scorpions, and I thought to myself, is it me, or is this just totally out of place and inappropriate?
I feel like, no, it's you.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's just you, Bob Corey. I'm not going to read the article, but I do like the quotes. There's another one by Mr. Bob Corey, and he says, I don't know what kind of accent he has, but it must be pretty funny, but I'm not going to try and do it.
He probably sounds like he's inbred.
He says, quote, there's thousands still living in trailer parks up there, and
good.
rock you like a hurricane? I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. First of all, it's not rock you like a hurricane, it's rock me like a hurricane. And then he says, when he says I wouldn't wish that upon anybody, it's kind of unclear from that quote whether he's talking about them living in trailer parks,
or the hurricane,
being hit by a hurricane,
yeah.
or just listening to the song. And like I said, I hate the Scorpions.
I think it's probably listening to the song.
I think that's what he's trying to say.
Although I think the guy probably missed the metaphor.
Right.
He probably did. But anyways, I mean, you could take the song literally if you'd like to. But regardless, it's just in bad taste to play it for the Saints. It could be any other team. Like if they played, the 49ers.
Well, that leads into my last quote, the last thing I'll read from the article. So they finally get the team official. They always have the PR flack who deals with problems.
Was it Tampa's or was it the New Orleans?
No, the Tampa Bay flack, because there's Tampa Bay cheerleaders.
Tampa, yeah.
It'd be pretty funny if the New Orleans Saints adopted that as their song. That would be pretty cool.
That would be
pretty badass,
and it would be pretty badass.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what? We're gonna rock you like a hurricane,
right? Or if they play, because
you
how NFL games now they even play the music during the game when somebody scores a touchdown. If they just blared that when the Saints would score a touchdown or sack the quarterback, that'd be pretty intimidating.
As if they're they could almost change their name from the Saints to the Hurricanes,
right?
The New Orleans Hurricanes.
They're not. You know what? They're not going to do that.
No, that's just a bad taste.
But here's the PR flack from
if only I own the team.
Right, the PR flack from the Buccaneers says he's got one of these
fag.
Flack. That's what they're called, right?
They're called flack.
His quote, they always have these very direct statements. He says, rock you like a hurricane. Once again, he got the name of the song wrong. But is it? I mean, the whole article says rock you like... No, it's rock me like a hurricane.
I always thought it was rock me like a hurricane, but maybe it is rock you like...
We could not know what the hell we're talking about.
But I've never been a Scorpions
Anyways,
fan.
his quote is, rock you like a hurricane will no longer be played at games against the Saints. Against the Saints? So they'll still play it. I mean, it's not like Louisiana. That's New Orleans, Louisiana, right? It's not like that's the only state that was hit by the hurricane, right?
Well, you know what's kind of ironic about this? Aren't there hurricanes in Florida? Don't they? It's on the Gulf Coast.
Isn't there a team called the Miami Hurricanes, a college team down there?
I think called I thought they were the Gators or something.
I don't know,
but I fucking hate Florida.
So there's a lot of weird stuff in this article, and then here's the implications of this happening that I think are funny, and you're kind of leading in. I mean, one of the main thing that probably everybody recognizes is people thought about this up to the game. There's choreographers. There's
there's
50.
planners.
There's 50 cheerleaders. None of them said, hey, excuse me, but I just thought of something. It's going to be kind of weird to do this song against the Saints. Nobody said it, or somebody did say something, and everybody was just like, fuck you, shut up.
Dude, I bet you they did. I bet you it didn't even dawn on them. I mean, they probably don't even pay attention to music anyways. But, I mean, I wonder how, the planners, the people who coordinate the entire halftime show.
There's a ton of people.
Oh, my God. I wonder if someone's head rolled over this. Do you think? Someone's fine, did someone, I wonder if the boss, called him in, Stanley, could you come to the office here?
Well, it's a gay guy.
You think so?
The guy who coordinates the dances?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's a girl.
But Rock Me Like a Hurricane isn't, the gayest song in the world.
No, but there's either a gay guy or a girl who coordinates, the routine that the cheerleaders do. I don't know. That just makes it
some dumbass.
The gay guy angle just makes it funnier
Jeb
to me.
I think he does it.
The gay guy angle makes it funnier to me because I can picture him actually realizing how offensive it would be and just being like,
"Oh shit,
I hate football anyways. I hate all these people. I hate this. I hate people from the South that don't want me to get married or even to exist because I'm gay." And just be like, you know what? I'm leaving Rock Me Like a Hurricane in.
Yeah, fuck him.
And maybe he got fired. I don't know. I never heard anything like that.
Yeah,
but.
I wonder. I think there should be a follow-up story to this.
Well, let me get... Okay, there's one more implication to this story that I've just sort of, thought of today while thinking about doing this on the podcast. And it's kind of I like metal. I like old metal. I like Dio. I like old cheesy metal.
Yeah,
and I
Iron
just
Maiden.
Can't take the Scorpions seriously.
Dude, because Scorpions are just crap. Were they ever that big in America?
But I think a lot of people would say that a lot of metal bands that I even like, or metal people like Dio...
Who would dare say Iron Maiden's crap?
I was going to say Iron Maiden, but you could find people out there who would say that music is cheesy.
And I would stab this pen right through their eye.
But what I'm saying is we like that music, and we still recognize that the Scorpions are complete and utter, cheesy nonsense. And I kind of think this is one of those stories that, like, got blown way out of proportion. Like, couldn't somebody, they could be like, wow, they're playing Rock Me Like a Hurricane. That's kind of offensive. But then, like, 10 other people would be like, it's just the fucking Scorpions. It's ridiculous.
It's a football game, and it's, like, such a well-known song. You know, I'm sure there's nothing intended. But you know what? I do wonder if there is malicious intent.
I would just like, I would like for it to get totally out of hand in that regard, and, like, I don't know, in like a alternate universe, like the Scorpions actually had to come over. Were they German or Russian?
German.
If they had to come over and like
but huge in Russia.
If they had to come over and make like a press appearance and like apologize for their song, I think that would just be awesome.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? It's like, we did not write this song about New Orleans.
This was about more rocking than hurricanes.
We don't have hurricanes in Germany.
They really don't.
No, they don't.
Where did they get that song from anyway?
I don't know. It's all metaphor. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't say "Rock Me Like a Shiza movie."
I guess it's a metaphor for being rocked.
Rock me like a gas chamber.
It's a metaphor for being rocked.
For just being really rocked.
Is that a metaphor or a simile with like?
I think they're saying meta.
Well, they do say like.
Be a simile, yeah.
Right,
It'd be a simile. But I think he's saying how that girl rocks me like a hurricane.
All right, that's all I had to say about this, but it was some funny thoughts I had. It's wrong. It's not sick. There's nothing sick about it.
It would have been sick if the cheerleaders were shitting themselves during the song because someone shoved a suppository up their asses before the halftime show.
All right, quit fucking pumping your story. It's my first one, and it's just something I wanted to talk about. I'm not going to.
What about on the scale?
On a scale. It was big. It had a lot of press, so it got a lot of attention. But I'm going to give it, it's not sick. It's just wrong. I'm going to give it a 6. Well, you know what? Maybe a 5.
I think that's a little high. I would say, because in order to get up above 5, you have to be both sick and wrong. And since this isn't sick and it's mainly wrong, I'd probably give it about 5 on the wrong scale.
Maybe 4.5. 4.5.
4. I give it a 4
because it's funny.
It's funny,
and there's funny implications.
Yeah, and I mean, it is pretty. I mean, it's just like so overtly wrong.
It is wrong.
It just shouldn't
it's definitely
happen.
Wrong.
Maybe in like a year from now. But I mean, that's Katrina wasn't even that long ago. God, I don't know.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Never forget.
Never
forget.
So now, dude, think about this. We have 9/11 that we have to remember every fucking year, and now it's like Katrina.
You can't ever forget anything anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. No, you can't.
And you have to have like a bald eagle sticker on the back of your car.
God, it's horrible. It's horrible. People, remember to email us sickandwrongpodcast@hotmail.com and vote for your favorite disgusting foul story, and then we can decide who gets a case of beer. All right, I'm going to move into story number 2. This is
bring it.
This is my second story, and personally, I just want to preface this by saying I don't think it's as sick or wrong as the first story, because my first story is the haymaker that knocked you out.
You kind of went Mike Tyson on me. You
didn't
didn't want to give people their money for listening to the podcast. You just wanted to knock me out and get your money and go home.
But you said that you have a good one, so I'm thinking, towards the end, I think we might go the whole 12 rounds here.
I like my second story better.
See, now, my second story I like as well, and it was kind of tough to decide. I think I went with the first one just because it was just more, like, obviously disgusting. But this one's just so weird. It's just kind of wrong, and I think it's kind of sick as well. So, and what's cool about it, too, is it's right here at home. People, we're broadcasting here from San Francisco, and this story occurred in Fremont, which is only about, 30 minutes away? 20 minutes away?
With no traffic, yeah.
With no traffic. So anyways, let me just say, I'm going to start off how the article started off here. The ancient Greeks worshipped it. Freud said women envy it. And last week, a man pulled a truck with it. That's right. A man pulled a truck with his penis.
In Fremont.
In Fremont, no less. Right off of 880 in Cupertino. About 40 people gathered, and just to watch this dude attach his dick to the bumper of a truck and pull the truck with his dick.
All right, stop right now. I've got to say something.
Yeah.
If I'm going to pull a truck with my dick, I'm going to get, do a lot of pre-show publicity and make sure there's more than 40 people there. And if I do a lot of pre-show publicity and only 40 people show up, I'm not doing it. So
I know. Because, I mean, think of the risk involved here.
It's probably one of those things you can only do once in your life.
But you know what, though? It isn't. And that's the thing. This guy wasn't after the publicity. This guy was after demonstrating his own strength. Was it 40 really attractive girls who were into that sort of thing, or? I don't know. His name is Grandmaster Tu Jin Sheng. best known for his iron crotch technique.
Oh, he's Asian.
This dude's serious.
That explains a lot.
He's I don't even know how to really pronounce it. I think it's Qigong, Qigong. He's
I don't know.
Qigong master. But he attached himself, not once, but twice, to a rental moving truck and pulled it several yards across a parking lot in Fremont. You gotta get this is what he's wearing. And lace-up leather boots and a black tank top. The 50-year-old man tied a strip of blue fabric around the base of his penis and testicles, tugged to make sure it was on tight, had an assistant kick him hard between the legs right before he lashed himself in the vehicle, grunted, and then pulled the thing several fucking yards.
Okay, he's an idiot, but...
Dude, he's a master.
Well, wait, no, he's an idiot, but the dude is hardcore.
Well, you know what I don't understand?
That's hardcore.
That's so beyond hardcore. Like, if I was there, I would have cringed.
But I want to discuss the technicals a little bit. So the ribbon was around the top of the shaft and the back of the balls?
Well, it's funny that you say ribbon. I was wondering, what is this magical blue fabric that you can attach to your nuts and pull a truck with it?
I mean, really, we should be talking about the ribbon. The ribbon's pretty strong also.
What is it? It's this ribbon is strong enough to pull a truck with your dick. Like, what the fuck kind of material would that be?
Well, I mean, it's like the weakest link. It's the weakest link in the chain, or is it the strongest link in the chain, or...
Aren't you like a chemical engineer or something? Do you know like what kind of element that would be?
I don't know anything about ribbons. You should ask Rick about ribbons, man.
I probably should, the upper decking. Or anyways, and what's funny about this article, too, I haven't even got to the meat of the story yet. But
meat?
Meat, no pun intended there. But anyways, the guy had his assistant was just like, I'm about to pull this truck with my dick. Kick me in the balls just to make sure I'm ready to go.
Because he's hardcore.
Isn't that great too to have a boss and be like, I can kick you in the balls now?
I'm thinking it's probably like a really hot chick.
Yeah, that was just
it adds to the show.
It's probably some Asian Kill Bill type of chick,
or it's just it's kind of an S&M show. Oh, Lucy Liu is hot, man.
I know. I'd let her kick me in the nuts while I'm pulling a truck. But this is funny. It says right here, he groaned, grunted, and pressed against two men for resistance. So two guys were standing behind him while the dude had his nuts and his dick tied with a blue ribbon while he pulled the truck. Would you ever be one of those dudes?
No.
I mean, is that gay? Is it gay?
Yeah, I would do it. For $20?
No, I think they do it just.
Are his pants totally off, or is he just have his fly open, or does he have some reverse buttless chaps, which are just crotchless chaps?
Jim, the Grand Master's performance drew hearty applause and only a few gasps from the sparse crowd. There are only 40 people there, but I guess he had they're mostly his students. He wrapped a piece of fabric around his waist to conceal his genitals from the crowd.
Oh, so it's a family show.
Yeah. So he had cloth over it, but the thing was around his nuts and his dick.
But you know what though? That has a little bit of David Copperfield type of feel to it.
Copperfield would never be able to pull a truck with his dick.
No, but I'm saying nobody actually saw the ribbon around his dick. Maybe it was tied to a butt plug in his ass.
Well, actually, they did see it because in the heat of the second truck pull, because the guy did two. He did it first, and then he got kicked in the nuts, tied himself back, lashed himself back to the truck, and pulled it again. When he tied the cloth around his testicles in the heat of the second truck pull, the cloth that he wrapped around his waist, the concealing cloth, was pushed aside to reveal a ball of flesh that looked as if it was ready to burst.
Ugh.
How sick it is.
But now he's going to have the Christian Coalition on his ass for, indecency.
Indecency of trying to burst his testicles?
Well, just because it flapped up.
Well, listen to this. After the feat, Grandmaster Shang wiped the sweat from his brow, and after the show, he said through an interpreter that he felt comfortable and warm.
The sweat from his brow, huh?
I don't know.
Why was his brow sweating?
Dude, it's got to take some, pain. When asked if he was in any pain, he said, if it's painful, then you will see it bleed. Which is just so fucking sick.
That also has the sound of it's bled before. He knows what happens when...
I guess most of the people there study Qigong, which is the ancient Chinese art of movement and breathing to increase energy.
Yeah, breathing helps when you're pulling a truck
with your dick.
When you're
pulling a truck with your dick.
You got to breathe. If you breathe right, it's like nothing.
Well, what's funny, too, is one of the audience members is a documentary film director and producer from London who's on hand to record the jaw-dropping feat for a 3-part series called Penis Envy, which is scheduled to air next year on Channel 4 in the UK. Footage from the truck pull will be used for the series piece on building the perfect penis. How is pulling a truck with your dick a part of building the perfect penis?
British people make pretty good TV. They'll figure it out.
I guess I just don't see the relation. I don't know. The guy even, Grandmaster Shang, even had his wife and his 2 boys and 2 girls, his kids there to watch him pull it with his dick.
So he's already had children. So he's had children. He doesn't need to have working tackle anymore. Maybe that. I wonder if he ever did it before he had kids.
But I mean, could you imagine being his wife, watching his ball of flesh that's about to burst and just thinking, there goes our sex life, it's done. Why do you have to pull trucks and huge objects with your dick? Why?
But that leads into one of my, because I'm a just medical idiot and kind of don't really understand anything about physiology. So does your dick get bigger if you're like stretching it, pulling trucks all the time? I mean, maybe that's why she likes it, because it's bigger now.
I mean, maybe it's like stronger. Maybe it's like, kind of like, what's that muscle that's in your taint that you can like...
Well, all muscles, if you use them, they get bigger.
Well, I read something recently that porn stars
clench
their taint so they can make
Were you Googling taint again or something?
I was, I'm sorry. No, but anyways, I was reading some article, and I was actually in one of the magazines I do at work. I was reading this article, and it was about this porn star. I can't think of his name. It's like Jim something. But anyways, he practices taint stretching exercises. I think it's called like the pubococcus muscle or something.
Is that so you can like when you ejaculate, it goes like
shoots like 100 yards,
puts the girl's eye out?
Yeah, you could like shoot it, and like to like blind her in the one eye.
Yeah.
Which actually I wish they would have told how he does it, because I kind of want to learn that technique.
I would like to learn it, but I'm lazy, so I probably wouldn't do the exercise.
Could you imagine Grandmaster Shang, the Grandmaster of the Iron Crotch? I bet you he could shoot a load like 50 yards away.
I bet she's got like a 36-inch taint.
Dude, the motherfucker lifts hundreds of pounds. Like his
Pulls,
followers,
not lifts.
Qigong is also called 99 Qigong, which is the branch of the Iron Crotch. 60,000 followers who lift hundreds of pounds with their genitals to increase energy and sexual performance. Could you imagine? I wonder, this is what I wonder about it. So the guy's Asian. He probably doesn't have the biggest dick in the world. Do you think he was like, you know what?
Dude, I wasn't going to
have... I don't want to...
I wasn't going to go there, but okay.
I'm not bagging on Asian people. It's a fact. I've heard this from many girls. I mean, I don't go around asking Asian guys to show me their dicks.
And, I recognize that it's a stereotype, and there's probably an Asian guy out there who would put me to so much shame that I would probably kill myself.
But in general...
If you watch, porn with Asian dudes...
That's what I'm basing my entire observation off of. Yeah, they're small. But, I wonder if this guy's like, I might not have the longest dick in the world, but I have the mightiest.
Yeah, I mean, he might ejaculate and, take his wife's head off.
Dude, I bet you, he just blows that bitch away. I bet you it's like he fucks her to no end. I mean, with his mighty dick. Well, anyways,
of course, we're assuming that his genitals haven't been fucking damaged beyond, all repair. They probably don't do anything anymore. When he pees, it probably just sort of, dribbles out in sort of like a spray.
I guess Gene Ching, who's the associate publisher of the Fremont-based Kung Fu magazine, which introduced Grandmaster Shang to the United States.
Oh, thank you, sir.
He believes that the Grandmaster believes that the sexual organs are a source of great power. And Ching, who the publisher, who does not study Iron Crotch, has heard that it does help in the bedroom. So what's funny, I just want to end this real quick. But the Grandmaster said the most challenging object he has ever pulled to this day was a 60-foot truck, and he did that with another man. So it was two guys were like, hey, you want to attach your dick to this truck because we're going to pull this together.
It's a little gay.
I just think it's a little gay. But these days, he's looking to up the ante, and this is his goal, which I think is kind of funny. Shang hopes to strap a dozen of his top students to a 747 for the biggest penis pull of all time. All he needs right now is an airplane.
Well, once you start calling it the biggest penis pull of all time, I think I'm in the running.
It's commercialism, isn't it?
Well, no, I was going to say I think I'm in the running for that competition.
The biggest penis pull?
Yeah, I've had some pretty massive penis pull sessions.
Yeah, but you're thinking like the most frequent penis pulls. I'm talking. This is like a collective
most times
pull.
In a day I pulled it.
I guess that's pretty big. So you're saying like the biggest wankathon here.
I think you understand what I'm saying.
I get it. But anyways, what's kind of funny about this is, so this dude, Grandmaster Shang, being the grandmaster of the iron cross technique, obviously sits around his house thinking, what can I pull with my dick? And, that never even went through my mind. I've never once thought, I kind of want to tie my dick to something and see if I can pull it.
No, I have sat around and thought, like, about all the stuff I don't want anywhere near my penis, like...
Which, an airplane?
An airplane, scissors, a ribbon...
Rick?
Well, yeah, Rick.
Rick.
A ribbon attached to anything heavy that might get caught around it. That's one of the things I wouldn't like near my penis.
I don't know. I just wonder. So anyways,
it'd be cool too if he, got depressed at the end of his life and decided to hang himself, but really just hung himself upside down
just
by his genitals,
dick?
and they ripped out and like he bled to death on the floor.
Well,
That'd be cool.
I would love to go see his next penis pull. And just see him just rip his dick completely off his body. Would that be great?
Plus, there's only 40 people there. You could get right up there and take close-up pictures. And maybe there's T-shirts, and they'd be pretty exclusive. You could sell them on eBay because, there's only going to be 40 people there with the shirt.
What I don't understand, though, dude, is how does this facilitate sperm production? Don't you think this would inhibit sperm production?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it would.
Huh.
But
if you want to study the iron crotch technique, you can just go right over to Fremont. And if you want to study the rotten crotch technique, you can just go to Lance's room. Is that funny? But
it was funny.
It worked.
But,
it worked. Anyways, on the sick and wrong scale, I guess it's kind of both sick and wrong. I'm going to give it a 7.
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Once again, you come out with the big
counters.
gun.
It's the first show, dude.
It's the first show. And my second story, I guess I'm going to call it, it's like creeper weed. It's going to be one of those stories that at first...
Creeper weed, that's a Michigan term.
Oh, what do they call it out here?
I don't know, like fart bud?
Well,
no.
creeper weed is what you smoke and you don't think you're really high, but then like 3 hours later you're really, really high and you almost forgot that you even smoked and you just kind of freak out. That's what this story is going to be like. This story is pretty sick and wrong, even on the first hey, I just got high level. But I think when you think about it and when you actually read the article that I got, which this story, I think the article lends a lot, the writing style and the quotes that they got lends a lot to the story. So you got a story from the Bay Area, which was local. This story actually came from the Detroit Free Press.
So when we're originally from Michigan,
right.
Just a little background here. So this is actually a home story. So
right. So I have a lot of sentiment for Detroit and
it's
the
kind of
fine
local, removed.
The fine journalism around that city. So I'm just going to sort of go through, maybe skim the article, and then go back and point out my favorite parts of the article. The headline is, Killer of quote-unquote devil, although they didn't capitalize devil. I don't know what that means. Sentenced to 25 to 45 years.
He was sentenced, so devil is sentenced for 45 years.
No, he killed the devil. Killer of devil, sentenced to 25 to 45 years. So I guess we're against people killing the devil in this day and age.
This guy killed the devil?
Yeah, and he's getting 25 to 45 years in prison.
How do you prove that he killed the devil? Did he kill a guy who's known as devil?
Let me get into the story.
Okay. I'll stop.
And the names are really good too, so I'm probably going to try and point out the names. First line: it was one of the 5 most heinous crimes Wayne County Circuit Judge Gregory Bill has ever seen. I like people with two first.
Bill.
I like people with two first names like Dave Simon. I think
Mr.
it's funny.
Bill. Yeah.
Wayne County is the county that Detroit is in, by the way. The assistant prosecutor Christina Gergis called it the most gruesome crime she's ever prosecuted. It's Michigan people, man. They're weird. So the guy, the judge on December 20th sentenced Arthur Eugene Shelton, age 51, to 25 to 45 years in prison for the October 18th, 2004 shotgun and revolver killing of Shelton's friend, Larry Hooper.
So he killed his buddy.
He killed his buddy. But let's who he thought was his buddy.
He was friends with
Satan. At one time. So Arthur Eugene Shelton, that's totally a Michigan name. I don't know. Nobody listening to the podcast cares. Yeah. But anyways, that's totally a Michigan name.
No one in California is named Arthur Eugene Shelton.
Quote, he blew the guy's head off, said Shelton's attorney, Seymour Schwartz.
I think that's my uncle.
They still have Jews in Detroit, so that's
I think
good.
it's my uncle.
Following the 3-day bench trial, Bill found Shelton guilty November 30th, second-degree murder, only second degree, for killing Hooper in the living room of his Taylor home where Hooper was staying. So, two old dudes living together.
Okay.
In Michigan, that's not necessarily gay because there's just a lot of poor people there, and you live wherever you can.
Yeah, I mean you're trying to get by. But it's like two middle-aged men living together.
At 12:44 p.m., middle of the day, they're not working. That October day,
both these guys are unemployed here.
Shelton, the guy who's just got convicted of this murder, called Taylor police and told the dispatcher that he just blasted a man with a revolver and a shotgun because the man said he didn't believe in God.
Oh,
the guy he killed said he didn't believe in God, and so this dude just blew him away with a revolver and a shotgun.
So he shot him twice. I mean, dude, why do you need both?
You got to make sure when it's the devil.
Yeah, I guess when it's the devil. So the guy claims he's an atheist, and he's automatically the devil.
God, I'd hate to know
what he thinks of me.
I don't know if he claimed he was an atheist. He just said he didn't believe. There's religions out there that don't have like God, like a monotheistic God. Maybe he said something like that. I don't know. Doesn't go into it.
Yeah.
The dead man was, quote, the devil himself, Shelton told the dispatcher. I'd love to hear this dispatch call.
God, that'd be great.
How many times did you shoot him? The dispatcher asked. Hopefully enough. I want to make sure he's gone, replied Shelton. Shelton fired 4 or 5 revolver bullets and at least 3 shotgun blasts into 62-year-old Hooper's head, Gerges said. Gerges is the prosecutor.
Dude, that guy's head must have just been blown to pieces. They have a picture of it?
No, they have a picture of Shelton. He's a funny-looking Michigan guy with like a weird
handlebar mustache.
It's like a walrus mustache. You wouldn't trust this guy if you saw him. I wouldn't.
He looks
be
like a Bible
in his place.
thumper.
Right.
He does.
This is sort of a victory, Schwartz said of the sentence. Schwartz is his attorney again.
Wait, the attorney said this is sort of a victory.
Well, it's second degree. It's not first degree,
What kind of defense is that?
Well, he's saying the judge could have sentenced Shelton to life in prison. Blah, blah, blah. I'm skimming through here.
So what, he got second-degree... How could you get second-degree murder with like 6 revolver shots and 3 shotgun blasts to the head?
Well, they're obviously using some type of an insanity defense. He thought he was
the devil.
He
thought he was the devil, I guess.
It wasn't malicious. It wasn't planned
premeditated.
Premeditated.
It doesn't sound
like
the most sane.
The guy's a good Christian.
Yeah. I guess,
if you're a good Christian, or a Jew, right? Jews believe in the devil.
No, Jews don't believe in the devil.
Well, I learned something new every podcast.
We don't have a devil. There's no hell.
Well, if you're a Christian and you see the devil, you probably should kill him.
I guess you'd want to kill him because he's the enemy.
Right.
I've seen enough horror movies to attest to that.
Right. Vengeance upon the evil one,
But, I mean, Jesus, dude. Who does this guy think he is? Bruce Campbell?
It would be a good role model for anyone.
Yeah, it sounds like that,
But, okay,
Evil Dead.
But before the shooting, Hooper had told Shelton, Hooper's the guy who got killed, that Shelton couldn't say anything to convince him to believe in God, according to police.
God, dude,
the other thing is, these are like, poor Michigan schlubs, unemployed, home during the day. They're drinking. The guy was probably just at the end of his rope talking to this guy about God. Like, let's just watch, Judge Judy. I don't want to talk about religion. And then he said, look, just don't say anything. You're not going to convince me. And then, Shelton left the room, took off his shirt.
Took off his shirt?
Hey, wait. Shaved his face.
We shaved the mustache off?
Wait. I don't know. He still maybe. He could have just shaved the non-mustache areas.
I wouldn't shave
tried
off a
again
mustache like that.
To convince Hooper that there is a God. So he figured that when he came back out, if he had his shirt off and he shaved, maybe that would convince. So and granted, the guy said nothing you can say is going to convince me of God. And he took it to be, maybe if I take my shirt off and shave, then maybe that'll work.
He didn't say though nothing you can shave can convince me. So maybe he thought like shaving would give him like that air of legitimacy.
Shelton was grabbing at straws, I think, to convince him of God.
Like
the existence of God.
Would you love to have been in that room just to hear that theology discussion between these two groups?
I wouldn't like to get shot, though.
No, I wouldn't want to get shot, but if I was, like, invisible or something, I'd just love to, like, tape that. We could almost play it on the show.
Here's a couple more good quotes from Shelton. How long would it take you to believe in God? Shelton said he asked Hooper. Not until I hear Gabriel blow his horn. Hooper tipped his hat. Oh, I guess the guy who got shot had a hat on. That's kind of normal, too, in Michigan.
So he's probably making some kind of joke
baseball cap. Hooper tipped his hat, and Shelton fired the shotgun at Hooper's head.
Dude, so that means guy came back and had a shotgun in his lap while they were arguing.
It kind of implies that, doesn't it? But I like...
only in Michigan.
But if this was a perfect, movie scene, maybe with Arnold Schwarzenegger as Shelton, he would say... I'm never going to believe in God till I hear Gabriel blow his horn. Then Shelton blasts him in the face with the shotgun. Then he should say something like, I don't know, how is that?
Yeah.
Is that loud enough or something like
Is that loud?
that?
Yeah, I could totally see that. It's like in the action movie, is that loud enough for you?
Yeah, sadly, that's not in the article, so I'm assuming he
don't even know
he
if that
didn't
was
say
ever
anything like
said.
that. Here's one of my favorite parts. Later, after he, blew this guy away with multiple guns and multiple shots from each gun, Shelton told cops he might have second thoughts about the existence of God. Maybe there's not a God, he said.
Dude, all right, this is just unbelievable to me. So this guy, after he blows his friend away, after arguing about the existence of God, because he's so certain that God exists, is like, you know what? I think it's time to question it.
I think this just lends credence to the idea that we're just hammered. And he finally started to sober up.
He was probably just wasted. And I would have loved to have heard this conversation.
All right, so that's kind of the end. But let me go back and point out some of the quotes that I thought were funny. So Schwartz, Sheldon Schwartz?
Schwartz would be the lawyer.
Yeah, but
There's
what was his first name?
Seymour.
I'm sorry, Seymour Schwartz.
Seymour Schwartz
is Shelton, the murderer's lawyer.
Sounds like a
one
tongue
of his first quotes is, "He blew the guy's head off."
Well, why? Where the hell did this guy get this? This guy had to have been court appointed.
It doesn't say he's the district defender. I think it's just some lawyer off the TV that this guy got or something.
But if this man was truly insane, though, he would have represented himself.
Another quote that it's actually the closing line of the
get Jesse Jackson.
It's like the closing line of the article. The Schwartz guy says, Shelton was a nut. So I guess he's not.
No shit.
He's not really, regretting losing this case. It sounds like.
No, I think he was just like, you know what? I'm going to deal with it. The guy blew his head off. He's insane. He thought he was the devil.
Here's another quote by the lawyer. This lawyer's great. I want to hire him to do something for me, just to get the material.
You're probably going to lose the case.
Yeah, but just to get the material, something that I'm not going to go to prison
never worked
for.
Again.
Schwartz. This isn't a quote. It's just a statement in the article. Schwartz said religion wasn't the motive for the shooting.
Okay, what was the motive?
I don't know, but I'm gonna do a Google on this Seymour Schwartz tomorrow. I just want to see what he looks like.
Yeah, I want to see what other cases he represented.
I just want to see his quality website.
Oh God, dude. Seymour Schwartz in Detroit. Yeah. People go check it out and email us something from this.
And then my favorite quote that I've already laughed at, but I want to say it again. When Shelton got to the police station, he told cops, "Maybe there's not a God." Maybe I shouldn't.
It's like the perfect ending.
Maybe I shouldn't have shot that dude.
So what does this have to do with the creeper weed?
I just think that the story about, a guy is crazy and he has a delusion and he shoots some guy, that kind of crap happens every day. But I just think there's a lot of funny details if you think about it.
So it's kind of like a creeper.
This is what I feel that the podcast should be. There's lots of stories. There's tons of websites where, crazy news stories are up and anybody can go see them. But the podcast is about going into the details and, figuring out the really funny stuff.
The anti-social commentary.
The minutia.
Yeah, the minutia, the details here.
Right.
Flushing out the details.
So what do you think about that? I mean...
Dude, that guy is just completely insane. I mean, I'm trying to determine on the sick and wrong scale of how wrong and sick that is.
We need to have bonus
wrong.
But bonus points for funny, because this article is just hilarious.
It's hilarious,
to me.
yeah. You definitely get bonus points for funny. I think I would give that like a 7 or an 8.
Wow, good.
I think I would, because, dude, I mean, not only... It's pretty sick. I mean, this guy mangled that dude. Not only did he shoot him, he shot him 6 times with a revolver, 3 times in the head with a shotgun. And shaved.
Right, and he didn't
shaved
have
beforehand.
no shirt.
No shirt. Yeah, and he has a handlebar mustache.
The police department, what do they call them? The photographer, the
forensic photographer.
Shots would be really awesome.
God,
And
if Rotten.com has that.
Well, it's in like a trailer with fake wood paneling and like green shag carpet. And
I wonder if those guys had bunk beds.
No, I bet you they had so. I bet you one guy had a bedroom and the other dude stayed on the couch.
Well, what's funny to me about this whole article is so these two dudes it's 12 in the afternoon. Dudes are just sitting at home drinking. It's probably like on a Wednesday.
Yeah, and
talking about God in their trailer.
Yeah, they're not drinking quality. They're drinking like Milwaukee's Best or something like that.
And the most fucked up thing about this is this probably happens every day. It's probably happening right now in Kentucky.
Well, maybe people aren't getting blown away, but they're getting the shit kicked out of them, or just all kinds of stuff.
But because they think that his friend is Satan.
Yeah, people really believe that, especially, and I think they believe it more now than they did 10 years ago with all the evangelicals
you wonder
and all
about
that.
It. Now it's like I'm going to walk down the street, every guy I see with one of those walrus, like Wilford Brimley mustaches, I'm going to be like, you know what, I'm just going to walk the other way.
Well, just don't talk about religion with them.
I don't even want to get in a religious debate.
It's all about, it's like literal interpretation of the Bible. If you think somebody's the devil, you need to take your shirt off and shave and blow his head off.
I think one certainty that I've deduced from the story, one thing I've learned from the story is I definitely will never hire that attorney to represent me.
I want to hire him to, represent me.
Was that guy stoned? It sounds to me, it's just got the worst defense I've ever heard.
Well, he's obviously Jewish, and so you say he's not going to...
There's so many good Jewish attorneys out there,
But I'm saying... Well, Jews believe in God, right? It's the same God.
Yeah,
so if Shelton might have said, you can be my attorney, but do you believe in God? And he could have said, yeah, and they would have been fine.
This guy sounds like a sardonic prick. He sounds like someone that was just totally having fun with this case. He's like, it's a victory, sort of.
Oh, the court system.
God,
I hope there's guys like that out there.
I could totally see Seymour Schwartz at the bar after the trial and everything. Was just like, dude, you should have seen this nutball Christian that I had to represent
He was
today.
a nut. He blew the guy's head off. I don't even think religion was part of it. I just think he was an idiot.
And I had to come up with a defense for this.
Right.
What would you say? I don't know. Well, anyways...
So we're going to compile the scores, I guess.
I think that we're about to play the closing music here. So we need to compile the scores. I think, recap real quick, we had the first article about the 2 nursing assistants indicted for making elderly patients shit themselves. I also had the story about the Grandmaster with the iron crotch. Lance, on the other hand, had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers story and the story here about Eugene Shelton, who blew his friend off for being the devil.
I gave your first one a 7.5.
I think you gave it a 7.5. I'm thinking, honestly, people, you should be emailing us and let us know what you think is the most disgusting story, because that would really determine it, because we'd have a third party here. I'm thinking the 2 nursing assistants is the most disgusting story.
Yeah, I'm kind of just out for myself, but I think I do have to bow to the multi-suppository insertion for the purposes of revenge.
For revenge, for a prank.
By women.
In a nursing 27 home. In the nursing home. I think that's
pretty good.
Yeah, you owe me a case of beer, I think.
All right, man. This week. Next week, I'm going to bring it.
Next week, it's going to be on. Well, this is the conclusion here.
We should probably mention the website again.
Yeah, podcast number 1. I want to hype the website one more time. We're going to have eventually, stickers and panties and stuff like that you can get. But sickandwrong.blaringfoghorn.com. Once again, it's sickandwrong.blaringfoghorn, BLARING, foghorn.com. No www, it's just sickandwrong.blaringfoghorn.com. And as always, email us at sickandwrongpodcast@hotmail.com. This is Dave Simon.
This is Lance Wackerly.
And Lance Wackerly. We'll be back next week for podcast number 2.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
And thank you to the Reach Around Foundation.